Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another day. Actually, welcome back to 2023. No, sorry, I can't say welcome back to 2023. Here it is, the first day of the year, and it's really not that big of a deal. Let's be honest about that. It's a day where we take a piece of paper that's hanging up on the wall and we replace it with another one with different pictures. And if you're Chinese, you don't do it yet. That's really all New Year's is. My girlfriend was saying to me this morning, she goes, I always thought that New Year's and starting the new year was about hope. And I don't know what I want to do this year. And I went, no, I don't think it's about hope. I think it's about making goals and giving yourself 1 year to achieve them. I really do. I do it every year and I really, really try to make those goals come true. So last year at this time, I had four things I wanted to do. One was to read the book Dune. I know it's a modest thing, but I have loved that movie for like since I was in middle school and I always wanted to read it and I wanted to read more of it. And I read the first four books. And in a month or so, I'm going to start book number 5, House Atreides, because I decided not to read the last two in the series just because it just ends. And then Brian Herbert redid the ending according to the chats. So I'm going to do 3 of the Dune books and then go into the Foundation series. That's sort of my goal this year is to do 3 more Dune. So that was one New Year's resolution I had. The second one was to run a marathon. And I have never done anything physical in my life outside of high school gym class. I have avoided anything physical. I ran the main marathon, 4 hours, 17 minutes, 23 seconds. I ran a half marathon in Millinocket, Maine, up in the mountains, the Maine woods, actually, the mountains that Thoreau writes about, Mount Katahdin. It was 2 hours and 14 minutes, and I run a 5K and a 5 miler. And I went from the couch, like I was gaining weight and everything, to like this morning I went out and ran because May 27th, I got a 25K that I'm going to do. So now I'm a marathoner. And that was my second thing. And I honestly now encourage everyone to run or do something. I've never felt so good in my body. I'm no longer lethargic. I eat better. I feel better. And it's just been this amazing thing. That was my second New Year's resolution. My third one was to write fiction, which I am about to debut a new short story series. I was actually talking about this in yesterday's podcast. So that's very exciting. I have like 75 books that I've done under a couple different names, and I've been writing since I was 11. And I always want to be a fiction writer, but I was doing nonfiction and the nonfiction was selling. And so I went with it, but I'm totally burned on that. So I decided I'm going to start doing fiction. I did it. And I'm very happy. I will talk more about that when the short story series comes out. You can also look at my website in probably February. I'll have that all ready. The last thing I wanted to do, I had 4 New Year's resolutions. The last one was to read the Hindu scriptures. And we're here. We're doing it. That's what this channel was all about. This was created. Uh, I had a couple other YouTube channels and I was bringing them to a close. And actually, they were forced closed because I lost the email access to a Chinese hack. Don't get hacked. Oh, that was horrible. But it was fine because I was okay with that because I was ready to move and read the scriptures. And here we are now. I feel the next progression in reading the scriptures was to now be able to just talk about different religious things. So those were my 4 New Year's resolutions. I achieved them all and I feel so good about them. And I don't really know what's next other than reading Dune. And I got a marathon planned and the 25K, maybe a novel. I don't know yet, but I'll tell you, this may seem like an odd opening and it may seem like me bragging, but really, I recommend to you to do resolutions. Nothing that you really can't achieve. I want to be a multimillionaire. Well, that might be a little hard to do in 1 year, but things that you actually can achieve, do it because this world is messed up. I would use another word, but YouTube will ban me. I watch the news every day. I can tell you about 15-minute cities. I can tell you about this event and that event and the inflation we're about to have. Actually, my girlfriend and I were shopping yesterday. A carton of 12 eggs store brand Hannaford's, if you know Hannaford's. This used to be, I've been in Portland, Maine for 10, 11 years now, used to be under $2. Yesterday, it was 8.37. No joke. Well, no, maybe it was 8.36. I forget, but it was 8.30 something. And it was like, are you kidding me? And I said to my girlfriend, I'm like, you'll never guess how expensive the most expensive one was. And she's like, $5. I'm like, no, I bought the $5 one because that was the cheapest we had. This is insane. A carton of eggs. There was some buffalo mac and cheese that I used to like to eat. Now I could probably make this on my own with chicken, but the chicken is so expensive now. I think they want us to be vegetarians, which is the theme of this show, and we will get there. But this buffalo mac and cheese, it was about a foot container. I don't know, a foot by maybe like 6 inches. It used to be like $8, $9. It was a great deal. It's just pasta, and it went up a little bit, $10. That's fine. $11, that's fine. I started hit up to 15, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's not worth it. About a month ago, I looked at it, $19 and some change. Pasta, mac and cheese, basically, $19. I was like, you're kidding me. We were in there yesterday, and I bought some. It was down to $9, but it was now half a size. Yeah, that's not good. Things are really messed up. They talk about people freezing in Europe. I don't know. From what I can get in the news, there's so many things that we're just not seeing here. There's protests that are now on like 100 days that I just saw online, and I haven't heard of them. I forget which country, excuse me, but I don't see this in the news. In the news I haven't seen it. There's so many things happening that they're not letting us know about, and it's a scary, scary world out there. So, going back to the New Year's resolutions, I encourage New Year's resolutions because the world may be knocking on your door. There may be things you need to have jabbed into you. There may be things you need to have done. There may be money falling away faster than you wish it did. But to have these New Year's resolutions gives you hope, gives you a feeling of satisfaction in a world that doesn't want you to have that satisfaction. It gives you a sense of completeness. And I feel like this was one of the best years of my life. And I had other things going on. We almost bought a house. It fell through. Relationships, work, whatever. Life isn't perfect. We're not millionaires, whatever. But to have these little things, just reading a book that I've been wanting to read for 20 years, kind of gave me a good feeling. So, yeah, I'm watching the news and I'm like, that's horrible. Well, okay. And yes, you could say this is an escape, but sometimes you need an escape because I'm getting older. Life is passing. I can't sit here for another 20 years and wait till I feel like reading Dune. And then 20 years from now, go for another 20 years and then another 20 years and then another 20 years. It's going to be too late at some point. I can't sit here. I remember when we were all on lockdown, people were like, oh, I'm so afraid I don't want to do anything. And I'm like, no, I get up, I go for a walk every day. I do stuff. I'm reading books. I was doing stuff I hadn't done that I wanted to do because time is passing and it's not going to come back to me at a later point. I'm not going to be making up for that lost time. However bad the world is, right now is all I've got. This minute's gone. And if I don't use it, it's gone. And I don't want to sit here in a year from now going, I was frightened for a year and didn't do a single thing. And now I'm full of regret. And now I'm miserable. And now I'm depressed. Regret will kill you. Don't have regret. Go out and do it. So I really encourage you to make some New Year's resolutions, whatever they are, and come back to me in a year and go, thank you, Aaron. You're not just talking about going to the gym and what all the others, you're actually saying this is good for me on a deeper state, on a spiritual state. And that's what I'm doing. So please go out and do that. I encourage you to. It will be one of the ways you can put up a wall to this new world order thing that will take you down. The other way that I think that you can save yourself from the oncoming terrors that we have, for lack of a better word, is up there. I don't mean my upstairs neighbor. I mean God. I mean spirituality. I think spirituality, whatever it is, I don't care. It be Hindu, whatever, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Jain, whatever you want. I think spirituality and having a firm grasp in your heart and firm belief in God will help you. Absolutely believe that. Marx actually wrote that the two things that need to be destroyed in order to achieve a perfect society is the church and the family. And if you look, I truly believe that everything that's going on out there in the world is trying to destroy the church or the family. And those two things actually go together. Families are more likely to go to church, I think, or church is more likely to encourage the development of families. Get rid of families, it'll affect the church. Get rid of the church, it'll affect families. I truly believe that they're trying to get rid of that. I want to talk about that in a later episode, though. I think it's a big thing. But I think if you hold tight to religion, spirituality, God, there will be hope for you, and hope will get you through the day. Now, when I say church, maybe you're not Christian. I believe that they're going after the church as in Christianity, but I believe the other religions are on the chopping block. I believe we're already going after Islam. I believe we already have gone after Hinduism. I believe Buddhism is next, if not already. I believe Judaism is hated. I think anti-Semitism is a pandemic. All the religions are on the chopping block. They will all go. So just because you're not Christian, don't think you won't be safe. But if you believe something, whether you're Christian, whether you're whatever, I think it's going to get you through because it'll give you hope. Now, what good is hope? You may say, well, Aaron, you've just been talking about how you read books or you ran marathons. Those are very tangible things, and those really do fill you with things. Now you're talking about hope. How is hope going to save me from the disaster of a 15-minute city? Well, it will on a psychological level, I believe, because if you have hope, you'll be calmer, you'll be stronger, you'll be doing your life. You'll be less likely to be trapped in the box they want to put you. You'll be less likely to become a zombie like they want you to be. You'll continue to educate yourself. You won't live in fear. You'll be more grounded. And a person who is doing all these things likely makes better decisions, likely are less liable to fall into quicksand. They're less likely to get strung out on emotions. And when you get strung out on emotions, you often don't think about what you're doing, and you often do things against your own better judgment. And I see this all the time. People think they're doing things that are good, but I believe they're actually doing things that will hurt them in the long run. But they're so strung out, they can't think clearly. Hope gives you a light at the end of the tunnel to focus you in and keep you grounded. And when you're grounded, you can make better decisions. So then this goes back to the New Year's resolution thing. Let's say you don't want to live in the city anymore, and I don't blame you. You want to live in the country. Well, with hope and being firmly grounded, maybe you can see a way to move to the country. I'd love to move to the country. I'd love to move to the mountains. I would do it tomorrow if I knew of a way to do it without starving and losing all my money. With hope, I can think about that. But if I'm in a state of fear and I'm in a state of I feel bad, I'm in a state of my life sucks, and I'm like this all day long, I'm not going to be able to rationally focus on how to make moving to the country happen. It's not going to happen. I'm just going to live in this world of blah, 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 and hatred and fear and all these things. And I'm not going to be able to dig myself out of the hole. I'm actually going to put myself deeper into the hole. So I really, really think that hope strengthens you and religion grounds you, and doing things that make you feel good. Nobody can take the marathon away from me. I did 4 hours, 17 minutes. I actually beat my girlfriend's very first marathon time by like an hour, and she's run, I don't know, 20 races or something, and she's a running coach. And everyone says to me, like, Aaron, don't worry about time. And I'm like, okay. And then I told them the time, and they're like, wow, that was actually really good. You can't take that away from me. You can't take the sense of satisfaction I had of having done that. You can't take a year's worth of work writing fiction away from me, even if the book doesn't sell. Doesn't matter. I did this for me. No New World Order can take me away from me. They would like to, because they want you to just be slaves to pornography and TV. But don't let them. Make some goals. Make yourself feel good. Work to those goals. Stabilize. And even if it's a struggle, you're going to be struggling with something that will help you. It won't help them. They won't care. You'll be an enemy of the state, but worse things. So that's my long New Year's wishes for you, is to find your faith and be strong in that faith and to live in that faith because nobody can take that away from you. And to set up some goals for the new year and to really, see what the new year holds for you and come back to me in a year and tell me. So I'm not big necessarily on this channel about bringing folks down. I want to be kind of positive. I want to lift folks up. I'm not really looking for scandal, but there is something that came to me that I want to warn everybody about. And that is, I don't know, a couple years ago, I was online and I saw something and I signed up for it, and it ended up becoming a scam. It was a personalized daily energy report. Supposedly, I guess it's what, based on the Mayan calendar or something, or some cosmos thing. And I signed up for this, and oh, why not? Because I was in a state of confusion, and I had uh, a death in the family, and I was really, really kind of lost. Well, what happened was I signed up for this weekly energy profile, personal energy profile of the day and the week. It's kind of like a daily astrology thing, but this is daily energy profile. And they charged me some subscription for it. And I didn't want that. I wanted the free trial, but I was unable to cancel the free trial. I thought I did. I called up the phone number. I thought I did, but I didn't. I see the thing coming up every month. They were charging me on my credit card. And I tried calling and I've tried writing emails, and it took a couple months. And I ended up having to call the bank and going, I am not getting this canceled. Will you please block these people from taking money out? So it happened. I forget how much money I lost, maybe like $20, whatever. Well, here's the thing. I did more research on this energy profile that's supposedly some cosmic thing. I believe it is created by a computer. So when you subscribe to this, you will get a weekly computer readout. No, I'm sorry, not AI, nothing else. A computer telling your fortune? That's scammy to me. Here's the other scam part. This was like 2 years ago that I had the bank block this payment. So you would expect that I would no longer get the emails. I still get them. I literally every week get this. And I'm like, you haven't been paid in 2 years. Why are you still giving this to me? Because it's a scam situation and a computer's running this and it's taking money. So I wanted to warn all of you. And I normally don't, like I said, want to bring people down, but this is a computer. You're going to pay for it and you're going to have trouble canceling it. Please do not get sucked in like me thinking you found something amazing. You haven't. I just want to give you, though, a little reading from a little bit of it. If you're like me, you're a huge skeptic and you're going to go and like, oh gosh, no, when you hear some of this. So this is just came today or yesterday. It says Monday, January 2nd. The sign is the yellow star. The tone is the six rhythmic. Now, I don't know. Day 8, the star beautifies. Essence is art. Power of elegance. Real abstract stuff. Yellow star is the do-it day of growing beauty. Okay. This is a good for planting everything from ideas and projects to actual plants. Caught the little grammar problem there, right? The fifth sprouts of the creative seeds you planted earlier in the cycle are beginning to ripen. Business and relationship ventures started on this day usually work out well. Abundance and prosperity, peace and harmony are in the air, but beware not to go to excess and remember your sprouts still need nurturing to get them to their ultimate expression. A little bit more. Elon Musk, that's right, captured the essence of the Yellow Star Day when he said, if you want to grow a giant redwood, you need to make sure the seeds are okay, nurture the sapling, and work out what might potentially stop it from growing all the way along. Anything that breaks it at any point stops that growth. Meditate on loving, harmonious expansion, intelligent, clever, and energetic busyness. Hope inspiration, play, showing the way with brilliant starlight. Yeah, no, that's just there's so many things here. Oh god, and it keeps going. I'm not going to read any more to you. But it's just like this every day and let's see if there was anything else here. I haven't looked at this in so long. And it's just vague and bland. There's things here like Friday is Skywalker. That's right. Like Star Wars, it is the Red Skywalker is the dream it day of investing in exploration. The next day is Yellow Human is the do it day of expanding influence. Gibberish. Well, not necessarily gibberish, but it's just there's one day called the Wizard. It's just like, oh no, no. What else here? Oh, we have a day called the Eagle. I'm just scrolling through this. This is 16 pages that is whatever. It's made by a computer. It's not well done. And it's just so vague. Please, please, please do not subscribe to this. I don't want you to lose money doing this. So, just a warning if you see the personalized daily energy report via the cosmic energy profile, I'll put a link down below. I've been getting this. Remember, any company that continues to send you something that hasn't been paid in 2 years, you really got to question. You got to question it. So this is a scam, and I hate to call it out, but sometimes we actually have to. So let's move on today to the topic of the day, and that is vegetarianism. So I made a comment in a video. I think it was the first or second live stream I did. I mentioned vegetarianism just in passing, and I realized that I kind of quasi had some things about vegetarianism and Hinduism somewhat wrong. Basically, for us Westerners, I'm not surrounded by Hinduism or Hindu related things or Indian culture or anything. I have to actively seek it out. You know that if you're a Westerner. You have to actively look for books. You have to do stuff. You're not reminded about things. I don't have any holy celebrations going on. I don't have anything here. I don't know anyone who believes that what I do in town. They're probably there. I just don't know them. So you read something and you study and then you forget it. And that's kind of what happened to me. I have read about vegetarianism in Hinduism, but it was so long ago, I actually kind of forgot and I didn't think about it again. And then you get influenced by outside ideas like a meme on Facebook or somebody else talking, but they don't necessarily always know exactly what they're talking about. And so you try to just go with it because it sounds kind of good. And then that mixes with what you've got and your forgetfulness. And suddenly you're saying things that aren't actually Vedic. They aren't actually Hindu theology. So I wanted to just revisit vegetarianism a little bit today because I realized I kind of had it a little wrong. And I appreciate so much the commenter that brought this to my attention and just share what I've found over the past week doing research and also find out what you think. I would actually really love to know what you think on Hinduism and vegetarianism. Before I do this though, I want to share a book. So when I say I have read about vegetarianism, I actually have in this book. This was one of the first ISKCON related books I've ever read. I know it's backwards probably to you. It's called Holy Cow, The Hare Krishna Contribution to Vegetarianism and Animal Rights by Stephen J. Rosen. And he is a member of ISKCON, though this is not marketed as an ISKCON book, likely to sell more copies. It's really good. I was really impressed by this. He talks about vegetarianism going back into Hinduism and then leads it. You don't realize what he's doing necessarily, but he leads it into ISKCON. And he also talks about the vegetarian restaurants in America that were started by ISKCON. Now, according to this book, vegetarian restaurants were first opened here by ISKCON. I don't know if that's true or not. I read this. It was great. I was really fascinated by it. And it's something I actually highly recommend. There's also some recipes and things in the back. It's a really, really great book. And I think it does a really good job being an outsider to ISKCON. So it's not like Swami Prabhupada this and Swami Prabhupada that. It's really good. But I read this like 15 years ago, and I totally forgot what was in here. And so I wanted to revisit vegetarianism today. And then I'm just going to read some things that I found. And then if you want to share with me things that you think or opinions you have on the topic of vegetarianism, because I want to discuss a little bit about different points of view. The chat window is open. If I don't respond to you immediately, just give me a little moment to get there. But I do welcome chatting. So I found from some websites, and I'll put them down below after this goes off the air, that vegetarianism is not a commandment of Hinduism. It's not in there. There's nothing in the scriptures from one website except don't eat cow. I think we know why. I don't even need to discuss that. We all know why not to eat cow. But there's nothing in the scriptures that say you have to be, you must be. This is the way to be. Otherwise, you're out of here. Nothing. There is a push to be a vegetarian from what I read that has come from outside. So Jainism and Buddhism tend to push vegetarianism, and their influence on Hinduism has, from what I've read, made it seem like vegetarian is pushed as a scriptural thing, but it's really not. That push is sort of an outside influence by vegetarian groups, and in this, I guess we could say, neo Vedanta and modern Hinduism, and the influence from outside, you understand. But the scriptures don't tell us not to eat meat. What they say is that the food we eat determines the temperament we possess. That's one of the things they say. So food is Sattvic or Rajasic or Tamasic. And if you're eating energizing food or pure food or dull food, to use the English, that's going to affect you. I'm going to quote Adidas Samraj, the Neo Vedanta, non-Hindu, Hindu teacher, whatever, who used to live in Fiji. He wrote a book called The Eating Gorilla Comes in Peace, which was written in the 70s. It pushes vegan and raw food way before it's trendy. And in that book, which I think is one of the few books that's really worth reading by him, he talks about a regenerative and degenerative diet. So instead of talking about Sattvic and Rajasic and whatever, he's turned that into, is this regenerating you or is it degenerating you, pulling you down? And I think he gives the example of smoking a cigar pulls you down. We all know that. We know that smoking is bad for you. So it's going to dull your taste buds. It's going to dull your breathing. It's going to dull your health. There are foods that are the equivalent of that. The example he gives is like eating a whole container of ice cream is going to drag you down. It is a degenerative food, and you should eat regenerative foods, foods that lift you. And in this book, he actually says that is a vegetarian diet because meat pulls you down. So I think that's an interesting way of looking at of this. I used to be really into him, and so for a long time I was thinking about that in my eating, and I think I probably ate better. But that's not a purely Vedic point of view. The Vedic point of view is Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. The other thing that the scriptures say, according to what I researched, is we should not be eating meat due to ahimsa. So killing of animals is a bad thing outside of a sacrifice, but sacrifices are not considered killing. That is yes, it's killing, but it's a different type of killing. So sacrifices that we no longer do are the exception. But we shouldn't be killing animals. So ahimsa. And also, the scriptures say, in relation to ahimsa, we shouldn't be eating meat because of the bad karma it creates due to the killing of animals. Since we're not doing um, sacrifices anymore, we really have no reason to be killing animals. We can live as vegetarians and be fine with this. So we're doing injury, and that is creating bad karma. And by creating bad karma, we are also impeding our spiritual health. We're hurting our body and our mind and our karma and setting up the next life not to be as good as maybe we want it to be. The other thing I saw was just generally, as the scriptures are very scientific, I believe, from what I've read, they basically say that eating vegetarian is healthier than eating meat. I think kind of everybody knows that now. If you eat 3 hamburgers a day, that's not good for you. Nobody says that's good for you. Actually, was it Burger Me? Is that the name of the movie that was done? Where the guy ate all the hamburgers and just became incredibly unhealthy. So that's what I found that the scriptures say that why you should be a vegetarian. But they don't explicitly say be a vegetarian. It's just that all the things line up: ahimsa, karma, spiritual progress, good health, temperament, um, all line up to making vegetarianism the best option, not meat eating. Now, there's nothing in the scriptures that I have seen about veganism or raw foodism. I personally think, and I'm going to be leaning on my guru's opinion for this opinion, he says, and I kind of agree with him, that these are more modern diets, kind of like keto and things. They're a little bit more modern, and there's a push and pull there. I don't really want to get into those. My girlfriend's an ex-vegan, and she has no regrets not being vegan now. uh, so that's what I saw. So being vegetarian is part of the yama, the right practice. If you believe in Hinduism and you're part of this, but it's not meat eating is not prohibited by the scriptures. And I think I had been in a place where I kind of thought it was. I was just assuming over the years, because it was so long since I read my book, that meat eating is specifically prohibited. And I was wrong. I got it wrong. It happens, and whatever. So you can eat meat. It's fine. Now, that being said, I want to ask, this goes out to anybody watching this. What is your opinion on eating meat? Yes, we know that's what the scriptures say. Yes, you shouldn't do these things. Some gurus, such as mine, advocate vegetarian diets. End of story. Their argument being, you're not going to eat the food that you're not offering to Krishna, and you're not offering meat to Krishna. You're offering eggs. There's a few other things you're not offering. So you're not going to eat that stuff. If Krishna doesn't do it, you're not doing it. So they are strongly vegetarian. But others I've seen are like, no, you don't have to be vegetarian. I've seen some things online where it said a householder, a non-Brahmin, doesn't have to be vegetarian. But I'm really interested in what you all watching this think. Even how should I phrase this? Even though Hinduism does not explicitly advocate for a vegetarian diet explicitly, you can eat meat and be Hindu. It just gives you reasons why you shouldn't eat meat. Does that mean we absolutely should or should not be meat eaters or vegetarians? Where do we fall on this? I'm really interested in knowing if you think that, okay, I understand that the scriptures say don't eat meat for these different reasons, the ones I just talked about, yet I'm eating meat anyways. What's your rationale on that? I'm sincerely interested in knowing what you think. What, I guess you could say, what's your excuse? But I don't really want to use the word excuse because that brings up the wrong connotation. What's your reasoning of, okay, I'm going to go against scripture. Here is why. I want to know. I'm sincerely interested, because it feels like to me, from what I've seen online, people are either adamantly for vegetarianism, like my guru, or they're like me, and they're like, yeah, no, not really. Now, I personally don't eat cow. I am not a vegetarian. I probably have an 80% vegetarian diet, though, but I'm a marathon runner, as I talked about at the beginning of this show. And as a runner, I have not been able to do a vegetarian diet and go out running, 20 miles or something. People do it. Folks are vegetarians and runners. I've just not been able to figure out the key to that diet, without having to completely overload on my calories and do way more than I'm doing. It just doesn't work. So when I'm running, doing a training, which I'll be starting up in like 3 weeks for a May 25K, I will be eating a little more meat than I do now. Now I might go a couple days without eating meat. If I give up meat and become a vegetarian, I won't be able to run. And running is keeping me healthy and other things, and I feel better about myself, and I feel good, and my temperament's good. And over the past year since I started running, wow, I really, it has just improved me, and I feel more inspired and I'm more productive, and I don't really want to give it up. So I am saying the scriptures, I got them and I believe in them, and they are my holy books. But I would like to do this to feel good about myself and to feel whatever. Now, some may argue that you can feel good about yourself being a vegetarian. I actually was a vegetarian for a few years, but I couldn't tell you if I felt better or worse about myself. So that's my point of view. But I'd be really interested in knowing what you all think when it comes to being a vegetarian and being a Hindu. I'm really, really curious. Like I said, some people are adamant about it. You have to be, others, not so much. Now, there is a third point of view when it comes to vegetarianism, and this is sort of a minority thing. So, a few years ago, well, more than a few, I knew this guy. He worked with my dad who was always sick. He'd been to tons of doctors, I think in a couple states, and he was sick, and no one could figure out why. They diagnosed him with pretty much everything under the sun. He was on different drugs. He was out of work all the time. He was lethargic all the time. He was a bicycler. He used to bicycle to work. He was a guitar player. He was a young guy in his 30s. God, at that point, I don't know how. He's probably in his 50s or almost 60s now, but he was always sick. He was also a absolute hardcore vegetarian, as hardcore as you could get. Absolutely, just straight. I don't even think he ate fish. And he read about the blood type diet that I believe is out of Japan. I read the book and I thought it was really good, like, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. I'm forgetting now, but the blood type diet might have another name, says that according to your blood type, you should be a meat eater, or you should be a vegetarian, or you should be something else. Now, it's a little biased because it basically says everyone with this blood type should do this. And yet that blood type is the current blood type, or the common blood type for Americans. It says we should all be meat eaters. Wow. It says that the common blood type for the Japanese, they should not be meat eaters. I actually have the Japanese blood type. According to that, I should be basically a vegetarian with just a little bit of meat. So my friend saw this book and he got into it, and he ended up sharing it with my parents. That's how I know all this story. And according to that, he should eat meat. He had the general American blood type. And so he started eating a little meat, a little bit of chicken, a little bit of pork, a little bit of this, a little bit of fish. And then he got a little more, a little more. And within a month, he was feeling better. And I found later, we were talking to him and he wasn't sick anymore. He wasn't calling off from work all the time. He didn't feel lethargic all the time. Now, he had been a vegetarian with supplements to get everything he needed, and he'd actually worked on this supplement thing with doctors to make sure it was perfect, but he felt horrible. And I remember one of the stories I think my mom told me was that he was upset because he could never get a date, and he'd gotten a date, but he had to cancel because he was so sick. And he was like, "Ugh, I don't have one, and now I got one, and I can't go." But he started eating meat, and suddenly he felt better. So this is a third point of view on vegetarianism, that some people should be, some people should not be, and it's based on your biology. Now, I don't know anyone else who's had this situation happen who's been healthier because they gave up being a vegetarian. I do know some people who are like vegans, and they're like 50 years old, but they look like 70. They look malnourished. Um, so maybe they shouldn't be vegetarians. But I saw this, and it's always gone into my head of this example. So I wanted to throw it out to you with this new example. What do you think? Does this person, this blood type diet, might this knowledge influence now how we think about vegetarianism and Hinduism? I don't know. I'm throwing it out. Now, I did want to say once there was this Hindu guru, I don't remember his name, who was talking about in some live stream being a vegetarian, and someone had asked, "Well, I want to become vegetarian. What should I eat?" And he basically goes, "Oh, like papadums every day and naan every day." It was basically this Indian diet, and it was like 15 foods that are just like nothing. It wasn't really a vegetarian diet. As I know vegetarians, they don't eat papadums every day. They don't eat pakoras every day. They don't eat Indian food every day. They eat other food. They eat maybe lasagna or they eat something else. I have vegetarians who I work with, and they have a pizza once a month at our pizza party. And this ISKCON teacher wasn't really knowledgeable about vegetarianism. He just was telling you to eat vegetarian Indian food. And I felt it was just the wrong information to give people. If you want to be vegetarian, to just eat vegetarian Indian food approved by ISKCON is not how you become a vegetarian. That's bad information and that's bad advice. And yeah, that really annoyed me, frustrated me. So, anyways, I don't have a conclusion today. I knew I wasn't going to get to a conclusion. I will put down below different things, some links that I was reading from earlier, so you know what sources I've drawn from. Nothing too authoritative. Basically, I just wanted to open the discussion to all of you to see what you think, because, like yourself, I am just a spiritual seeker trying to find the truth. Now, the catch 22 is if you believe in the scriptures and you believe they are your holy text, like myself, then you're not going to want to go against them. You're going to want to be a vegetarian. So, if you choose not to be a vegetarian, what does that say about your relationship to the holy scriptures? Your thoughts. I'm opening up to you. Anything at all. If people comment long after the fact on what I've been talking about today, I'll do another episode and revisit the comments or research it more. I don't know. I'm just really, really curious. So, that being said, I think this is a good point to wrap this show up. Thank you so much for watching, tagging in, or, whatever, or coming or going, whatever you're doing. I really, really appreciate it. I will be doing another show next Saturday. Please come back and visit. I won't tell you what it's about, so that'll be a surprise. And I sincerely wish you the very best as you go into 2023. If you're joining me later in the podcast, watch this afterwards. The opening thoughts that I had were about how to survive in this new society and this new year and this new world that doesn't really want you to survive, how to break free, and how to be strong and how to be happy. Random thoughts I had. So check those out again. Let me know what you think. I really want the best for all of us as we grow and we learn and we discover together. And so, yeah, thank you for joining me on this show. If there's things you want to talk about or whatever, or you don't like what I'm doing, even, please put it down below. And as I'm adjusting and learning and doing new things, I'm even thinking about getting a new camera, but I got to figure that out. Got the microphone. That's one thing. So, yeah. So there's nothing else for me to say. Thank you for watching. Watch my other videos. Every other day is a new scripture going up, and we're reading all sorts of stuff. And it's a great journey. So there's only one thing left to say, and that is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.